There's a number you've written thousands of times, spoken without thinking, filled in on countless forms. Yet you've never stopped to wonder what it might be whispering about the deepest parts of who you are. It's not your age, not your birthday, not even the full year you were born. It's simpler than that, and perhaps more profound than you've ever imagined. It's the final digit of your birth year, that single number at the end. Whether it's a 3, a 7, a 0, or any digit in between, may hold a key to understanding the invisible architecture of your soul. Carl Jung, the father of depth psychology, believed that nothing in our lives happens by accident. Not the family we're born into, not the challenges we face, and certainly not the moment we choose to enter this world. According to Jung, we arrive carrying what he called an archetypal imprint, a kind of psychological DNA that influences how we see, feel, and move through life. And what if that final digit of your birth year is more than just a number? What if it's a doorway into the unconscious patterns that have been quietly shaping your choices, your relationships, your deepest longings since the day you took your first breath? This isn't about astrology or fortune-telling. This is about the symbolic language Jung discovered living in the depths of the human psyche, a language that speaks through numbers, through dreams, through the mysterious timing of our existence. Jung taught us that symbols aren't just pretty metaphors. They're living forces that carry psychological truth. Each digit from 0 to 9 holds what Jung called an archetypal signature, a unique psychological fingerprint that resonates with certain patterns of being. Not to limit you, but to help you recognize what's already alive within you. Not to predict your future, but to illuminate the invisible currents that may have been guiding you all along. So take a moment. Think of your birth year. Because what you're about to discover might do more than change how you see a simple number. It might transform how you understand the rhythm of your own becoming. To Jung, numbers weren't just mathematical tools. They were archetypal containers, each one holding a different energy, a different way of being in the world. He studied how numbers appeared in dreams, in myths, in the collective unconscious of humanity itself. And what he found was extraordinary. The same numerical patterns showed up again and again, carrying the same psychological meanings across cultures, across time. Your birth year isn't just a historical timestamp. It's the moment your soul chose to enter a specific energetic climate, a particular symbolic atmosphere. And that final digit? It's like the closing note of the song that was playing when you arrived. A frequency that may have been humming beneath the surface of your life ever since. This isn't about fate or predestination. Jung was never interested in telling people who they had to be. Instead, he wanted to help us recognize who we already were. Beneath the layers of conditioning and expectation, he wanted to help us see the archetypal forces at play in our lives, so we could work with them consciously, instead of being unconsciously driven by them. So as we explore each digit together, remember, you are not your number, but your number might be trying to tell you something important about the soul you've been nurturing all along. Final digit 0, the infinite soul. If your birth year ends in 0, you carry the archetype of the infinite, the soul that remembers wholeness before it was broken into pieces. 0 isn't emptiness, it's the fullness that contains all possibilities, the sacred circle where endings meet beginnings. Those born under this digit often feel like they exist between worlds, never quite fitting into categories or labels. There's something timeless about you, something that makes others feel both comforted and slightly unsettled. You see life in cycles rather than straight lines, and you understand that sometimes the most profound action is stillness. The most powerful word is silence. Your gift is presence. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that creates space for others to breathe, to be, to remember who they are beneath their roles and masks. Yet your shadow lies in feeling empty when the world demands you be full, feeling lost when others seem so certain of their direction. But here's what Jung would tell you. Your emptiness is not a lack, it's a capacity. You're not meant to be filled from the outside. You're meant to be a vessel for whatever wants to emerge through you. Final digit 1. The Initiator Soul. And yet, if your birth year ends in 1, you carry an entirely different energy. The archetype of the Initiator. The soul that dares to begin what has never been attempted before. You've likely felt this your entire life, a restless urge to forge your own path, to question what everyone else accepts, to step into territories where there are no maps. Even as a child, you may have marched to your own rhythm, uncomfortable with following simply because everyone else was. This is the energy of the pioneer, the trailblazer, the one who says, "I'll go first," even when the voice shakes with uncertainty. Your gift is courage, not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward in spite of it. You inspire others not through words but through action, showing them that new paths are possible. But the shadow of the Initiator is isolation. In always going first, you may find yourself alone, wondering if anyone will follow, if anyone truly understands the vision that drives you forward. Jung would remind you, leadership isn't about having followers. It's about having the courage to follow your own inner truth. Final digit 2, the Harmonizer Soul. Where one seeks to stand apart, those born under the digit 2 carry the archetype of the Harmonizer. The soul that understands life happens in relationship, in connection, in the sacred space between self and other. You've probably always been sensitive to the emotional climate around you, picking up on tensions and unspoken feelings before others even notice them. You're naturally diplomatic, drawn to bridge differences and create understanding where there was conflict. Your presence often brings peace to chaotic situations, not through force, but through your innate ability to see all sides. This is a beautiful gift, but it carries a shadow. The tendency to lose yourself in others, to prioritize harmony over your own truth, to silence your own voice rather than risk disrupting the peace. You may find yourself shape-shifting to meet others' needs, forgetting that authentic connection requires you to show up as yourself. Jung's wisdom for the Harmonizer. True unity doesn't come from erasing differences. It comes from two whole individuals choosing to meet in the space between them. Final digit 3, the Creative Soul. But if your number is 3, you embody something altogether different. The archetype of the creative. The soul that must express or wither, that sees life as a canvas waiting for color, sound, movement, meaning. From an early age, you likely felt the world more intensely than others. Colors seemed brighter, emotions felt deeper, stories lived inside you demanding to be told. You're naturally expressive, whether through words, art, movement, or simply the way you bring energy into a room. Others are drawn to your vitality, your ability to make the ordinary feel magical. Your gift is translation. You take the invisible and make it visible, the unfelt and make it felt. You remind the world that beauty isn't luxury, it's medicine. But your shadow lies in scattering your energy, in expressing everything and grounding nothing, in performing your truth rather than living it. The mature 3 learns that true creativity isn't about entertaining others. It's about giving form to what wants to be born through you. And sometimes, the most creative act is listening to the silence that wants to speak. Final digit 4, the Foundation Soul. From the flowing creativity of 3, we move to the grounded stability of 4. The archetype of the foundation, the soul that builds what lasts, that creates structure in a chaotic world. If your birth year ends in 4, you're likely the person others turn to when everything falls apart. There's something inherently stable about you, something that makes people feel safe, held, protected. You understand that dreams without structure remain dreams, that love without commitment becomes merely sentiment. You're naturally organized, reliable, methodical. You see the steps others miss, plan for the obstacles others ignore. Your gift is creating containers, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, where growth can happen safely. But your shadow is rigidity, the fear that if you bend, everything will break. Jung would tell the four, strength isn't about being unmovable. It's about being unshakable. The difference is that one resists change, while the other remains centered through it. Your task is learning to be both rock and river, both foundation and flow. Final digit 5. The freedom seeker soul. Yet if your number is 5, you carry the opposite energy. The archetype of the freedom seeker, the soul that cannot be contained, that must explore every horizon, question every assumption, experience every possibility. You've probably felt restless for as long as you can remember, uncomfortable with routine, allergic to being told what to do or who to be. You're naturally curious, adaptable, drawn to change like others are drawn to security. Your life likely looks unconventional from the outside, marked by shifts and turns that others might call instability, but you know as evolution. Your gift is possibility. You show others that there are always options, always other ways, always doors they hadn't noticed. You're the reminder that life is meant to be lived, not endured. But your shadow is restlessness without purpose, change without growth, freedom that becomes another kind of prison. The Wise 5 learns that true freedom isn't about running from everything. It's about running toward what calls to your soul. It's not about avoiding commitment. It's about committing to what truly matters. If you're finding these insights helpful, consider subscribing to explore more of Jung's profound teachings about the hidden patterns that shape our lives. Now, let's explore the next digits. Final digit 6, the nurturer soul. From the expansive energy of 5, we shift to the embracing warmth of 6. The archetype of the nurturer, the soul that sees what needs care and cannot help but provide it. If your birth year ends in 6, you've probably been caring for others since childhood, picking up on needs before they're spoken, offering comfort before it's asked for. You naturally create home wherever you go. Not just physical spaces, but emotional atmospheres where people can rest, heal, be themselves. Your gift is love in action. You understand that care isn't just a feeling. It's a practice, a choice made daily. You're drawn to healing, whether through medicine, counseling, teaching, or simply being present when someone needs a safe harbor. But your shadow is self-sacrifice, giving until you're empty, mistaking martyrdom for love. Jung's guidance for the nurturer. You cannot pour from an empty cup. The most loving thing you can do is ensure your own cup stays full, so your care comes from overflow rather than obligation. Final digit 7, the mystic soul. Where 6 focuses outward on caring for others, those born under 7 carry the archetype of the mystic, the soul that must journey inward to find what others seek outside themselves. You've probably always felt like you were observing life from a slight distance, seeing patterns others miss, asking questions others don't think to ask. You're naturally introspective, drawn to the mysteries of existence, comfortable with solitude in ways that puzzle more social types. Your mind is your sanctuary, your inner world richer than any external adventure. Your gift is insight. You see beneath surfaces, understand the hidden connections, recognize the sacred in the ordinary. You're often the one people come to for wisdom, for perspective, for help making sense of their experiences. But your shadow is isolation. The tendency to retreat so far inward that you lose touch with the world that needs your insights. The integrated 7th learns that wisdom is meant to be shared, that understanding is only complete when it serves something larger than itself. Your journey inward is preparation for your return to the world, carrying light for others walking in darkness. Final digit 8, the Powerhouse soul. From the contemplative depth of 7, we encounter the dynamic force of 8, the archetype of the Powerhouse, the soul that transforms pressure into power, obstacles into opportunities. If your birth year ends in 8, you've likely faced more challenges than most, but you've also developed more strength. There's something formidable about you, a presence that commands respect, not through force, but through the quiet authority of someone who has been tested and emerged stronger. You understand power in ways others don't, not as domination, but as the ability to create change, to build something lasting, to transform the raw material of life into something meaningful. Your gift is manifestation, turning vision into reality through will, persistence, and strategic action. But your shadow is the misuse of power, the temptation to control rather than influence, to achieve rather than become. Jung would remind the 8, true power isn't about conquering the world, it's about mastering yourself. Final digit 9, the wise soul. And finally, we arrive at 9. The archetype of the wise soul, the one who has traveled the full circle and understands that every ending is also a beginning. If your birth year ends in 9, you may have felt old beyond your years, carrying wisdom that seems to come from lifetimes of experience compressed into one. You understand loss in ways others don't. Not because you're pessimistic, but because you recognize that letting go is often the most loving act possible. Your gift is perspective. You see the bigger picture, understand the seasons of life, help others find meaning in their struggles. You're naturally compassionate, drawn to healing the wounded, comforting the grieving, guiding others through their own transformations. But your shadow is carrying too much, holding on to pain that has served its purpose, believing that your role is always to be strong for others. The mature 9 learns that wisdom includes knowing when to release, when to receive, when to let others care for you, the sacred timing of your arrival. As we conclude this journey through the archetypal landscape of your birth year's final digit, remember this: you didn't arrive randomly. You came at the exact moment that matched the energy your soul needed to express, to learn from, to integrate. Your number isn't your cage. It's your starting note in the symphony of becoming. It's the archetypal seed planted in the soil of your psyche, waiting for consciousness to help it bloom into something uniquely yours. Jung taught us that individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, requires both accepting what is given and choosing what to do with it. Your final digit is part of what was given. What you do with that understanding, how you let it guide your growth, how you use it to serve not just yourself, but the world that needs your particular gifts, that is your choice. The number at the end of your birth year has been quietly humming its archetypal song throughout your life. Now that you can hear it, what harmony will you create? What unique melody will emerge from the meeting of your conscious choices and your unconscious inheritance? Remember, the journey of becoming yourself, fully, authentically, courageously, begins with recognition. And perhaps, in this simple digit you've carried all your life, you've found not just a number, but a doorway home to yourself.